What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for September 1st, 2025. We're on the road to CitizenCon, so communication is starting to get rough, but we had 2 tech previews this week, and we know what to expect out of 4.3.1. So, yeah, all that and a little bit more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first week in review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, so stop by and say hi if you haven't yet. I really enjoy seeing you guys over there. No sponsor this week, so if you want to support the channel, first off, get subscribed, but you can also just go above and beyond and hit the join button or leave a super thanks down below. All that out of the way, let's get to the patch notes. All right, and we start out on Monday, and this was clearly to prepare for extra players in the free fly. There was some downtime for a few hours, and I have to admit, whatever they did here probably worked a bit because it needed it. The free fly was for all Elite 8 ships, so that means every player now has an Asgard, an Urza Medevac, a Razor, a Gladiator, a Zeus, a Vulture, a Prowler Utility, and the big one, the Polaris. Every player now has one of the biggest resource hogs in the game. I did see some issues on with the free fly, but not too many. Specifically, no satellite spawning at the patrol missions. So that's about it. Wednesday, we had the tech preview, and I have to say I was both impressed and disappointed by the test. On the performance side, I didn't see a noteworthy increase anywhere except in my hangar. I went from 60 FPS to 100 with a change suggested by Wikipedia, but everywhere else, it was pretty similar, and then that change never really happened again when I was messing around with things, so don't really know what was going on there. And another thing of note is I had a massive CPU spike, super bad issues at certain outposts, forcing me to literally quit the game and recopy, where I would go down to 1 FPS or worse, and I'm not exaggerating on that. It was literally that bad. Outside of this, I had 0 server errors or any of your typical client crashes, right? On the AI side, I found myself dying a lot more because I was used to just being, you know, kind of stupid and running out in the open against the normal AI, and it has to be that's a bit of an improvement, right? Obviously, but many times they were also stuck not paying attention to me, searching for me, even though I was right next to them. They also really struggled to find cover. They clearly were looking for something or some cover, but they never really quite found it, and the most common NPC seemed to be the pusher type. One funny thing was the NPCs that were looking for cover, when they didn't find it, they said, "This cover sucks." So same theme as last week. The AI understands what's happening and is communicating things to the player, but just not doing or acting very well. Thursday, another tech preview. Unfortunately, I was out of the house during this test, and it was a surprise one. There was no real warning for it as far as I know. The word was it was actually just a test to try to solve issues from last week's super crashy problems. Other than that, the experiences apparently were mostly the same. So that's all we had. We had no 4.3.1 PTU, which is really weird. So let's talk about that in the roadmap update. All right, so we have to start out with the closing out of 4.3. Pretty simple stuff. They just turn the cards delivered. So things like the new light armor, dynamic snow, Volt Sniper, that kind of stuff. And then 4.3.1. To nobody's surprise, now that the date for the release was already put out on SCL last week, the Apollo ships are now listed as tentative for the next patch. The big change here, from my understanding, is the Apollo Medevac, the military variant, has updated armaments from its original sale. Let me know if I got that right. I don't think it had any weapons before, if I'm not mistaken. Next, the Bearing Laser Cannon Art Refactor. I'm just kind of curious why. I had no problem with the way they looked. Did it need one? I know it was one of the older weapons, so maybe this was a little onboarding project for somebody. I have no idea. Next up, they will unlock the third wing in the Onyx facilities. I believe this will turn on more of the puzzles that we had seen in previous PTUs. Who knows? I'm engaged with the story here, so I'm excited for it. But yeah, I do have to say 4.3 has been the most boring patch for me so far. AI FPS turrets are back on the menu. Hope they stick. And the same with more discovery-based missions. They're calling mission pickup on location. Both of these were delayed and, out of 4.3 and are now getting their time. That was it for roadmap updates as well. So let's move on to other updates. All right, and of course we started with a sneak peek, and this isn't too much of a sneak. It's simply one of the Apollo modules, and it looks like the highest end bed since there's just one. Not much else to say here other than I am eagerly awaiting information on what's going to change around medical gameplay when this ship launches. I really hope it isn't just something people can make a career in, but I hope it becomes more fun for every player as it touches all of us. So every player has to deal with medical, right? So it has to improve for all of us, not just people who like to run beacons, right? So it's got to get better everywhere. Ship Showdown, we're on to the semi starting today, but the round 2 went as follows. Asgard obviously beat the Ursa. Gladiator is kind of a meme pick this year, so it beat the Razor, and then the Zeus Mark II beat my beloved Vulture, so any horse I had in the race is now out, and the Polaris beat the Prowler Utility, of course. So the semis face off and make it seem pretty clear that the Asgard and the Polaris are going to end up against each other. And then for dev posts, NPC spawning. So if you played this patch at all, and that is 4.3, you have come across more NPC spawning than you might be used to. Someone complained on Spectrum, and Niku responded that they're on it, and the plan is to actually hotfix it on live. And considering that we don't have that 4.3.2 PTU yet, and if they want to resolve this at some point, it's going to have to be a hotfix. So hopefully they're able to get it. But that didn't happen this week, as far as I'm aware, and neither did the PTU. So Geist armor is next. This kind of post that is what killed the patch for me personally, and why I think it's so boring. I don't really get excited about armor that does nothing, right? It's not stealthy yet. And the skin isn't locked to my account, right? Like the resource drive stuff. So I'm not really sure how they didn't learn their lesson from the... You remember what they changed the Vandal mask to? This is for some older people here. Just searching through boxes instead of actually having an activity to earn this thing. But yeah, I noticed a lot of people seem to like this. And sound off if you're enjoying it, but it's just not for me. And honestly, this week wasn't for me. This patch wasn't for me. So that's where we'll leave it. I really appreciate you guys for watching, especially this episode, since nothing happened this week, really, of anything of note at all. And I wonder if this is how the next couple weeks are going to go. They really better have some cool stuff that is close, that is ready for testing, that is, just not far away, because this year has been pretty brutal in terms of holding your attention. I think they did a great job of consistently putting out content, but who's kind of going back and doing that content over and over and over again? Currently, not a lot of us. So I really hope we see something soon about crafting, about resource gathering, about, I don't know. One thing I want to see them inject a lot more into is PvE content, the value of doing it. And they haven't really done that yet. There's not a lot of resources or things to collect that are valuable for a player to put up on the market somewhere at some point when we have one, right? So I hope they start building that out a little bit more. And with that, yeah, I'm going to leave you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to go above and beyond. Like I said earlier, that would be so greatly appreciated. And yep, that's where I'll leave you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.